it was finally when Richard Wilhelm brought him the I Ching and asked him to write the introduction to The Secret of the Golden Flower that he realized that he was connected up, that alchemy was a fundamental thing of all humanity, okay, including in China, okay, including the development of Taoism and everything, because the Secret of the Golden Flower is basically Chinese alchemy, right? And so then he could connect up alchemy. And the point is that alchemy came up through Gnosticism. It didn't come up through the church. The Gnostics were on the outs with the church, okay? And the church became this structure, power structure. Send us your money and we'll build a big temple in Rome, and we have all these beautiful things, and look at the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and send us more money so we can buy more artists, right? And the Gnostics were on the outs of those guys, and that's the significance of Jung's 11-year-old dream when he saw God defecating on the Cathedral Basel. Okay, and the point was that it wasn't about the church. It's about God, right? It's about God and the God image. It's not about how God is worshipped. Really important. I wanted to talk for just a minute about the Mysterium lectures, which is this one, because why did I want to? Okay, I wanted to say a couple of things. One was the reason that Jung went back to the alchemists was that they produced images. Okay, and this goes to this fundamental point. The psyche consists essentially of images. It is a series of images in the truest sense, a structure that is throughout full of meaning and purpose. It is a picturing of vital activities. Mind and body are the expression of a single entity. This living being appears outwardly as the material body, but inwardly as a series of images of the vital activities taking place within it. And what Jung is saying in Mysterium is that the reason he had to go back to the alchemists was they could produce the images without epistemological criticism. Okay, so Bill, you want to take it from here. What's epistemological criticism? Okay,
learned criticism, where they don't bring a bunch of crap into the room to where they've already got preconceptions.
Right. Okay, so epistemological criticism is the question of, it's the question of where did your image come from? Did it come from Kant or Schopenhauer or Jung, or where did it come from? And it didn't come from you. You got that image from somewhere. Okay, you must have heard it somewhere. Okay, it didn't come just naturally from you. But the alchemists didn't have epistemological criticism when they were doing their work. In their 1700 years of work, epistemological criticism was not influencing them. So they came up with the images in the purest form. And that's the point. Okay, and that's the point of Mysterium Coniunctionis, which is
see, that would be totally different than, say, like the traditions, and where you've got to learn a tradition, like the brush stroking and stuff, Chinese or something, where there's a whole tradition on how you got to do it.
Right, and you don't have to do that, right? And so what Jung is saying is, or what Edinger's saying about Jung on the Mysterium lectures, I'm looking at the introduction to it here. It's important at the outset to understand that Jung's method of approach is rigorously empirical. He lays before us with utter objectivity the facts of the psyche. This is not the facts of the personal psyche. The facts of the personal psyche are all different because each individual has his or her own life story. Jung presents the facts of the objective psyche, the transpersonal psyche, and specifically they are the facts that manifest themselves in alchemy. He explains his rationale in a passage of alchemical studies. It is often impossible to establish the full range of meaning of an archetypal image from the associative material of a single individual, hence the necessity of comparative research into symbols. For this purpose, the investigator must turn back to those periods in human history when symbol formation still went on unimpeded, that is, when there was still no epistemological criticism of the formation of images, and when, in consequence, facts that in themselves were unknown could be expressed in definite visual form. The period of this kind closest to us is the medieval natural philosophy. Here, as in a reservoir, were collected the most enduring and the most important mythologems of the ancient world. And so, and in fact, I was amazed when I read Psychology and Alchemy that it was like a history of the human mind, right? That's basically what he was doing.
And Jung wasn't he trying to do an anatomy of the psyche?
Right, and so Jung says that this method of comparative research in the history of symbols is similar to the relation between comparative anatomy and human anatomy. Comparative anatomy studies the anatomical structure of various specimens in the course of the evolutionary process. When we do comparative symbol research, we're doing something analogous to the anatomy of the psyche. The anatomy of the psyche consists of images, and that's what this book is about. Here is another passage from Jung, and then he does this thing about images. So the point is that these images were as pure as he could find them without epistemological criticism, and therefore he's talking about the evolution of the human mind. And he definitely did over all his work, the 60 years of study, that proved that, there were these same images across the human species.
So he's talking about, in the medieval case, he's talking about the adepts, the male and female, or masculine and feminine,
Right.
And standing in the pool of water and all of that.
Well, I mean, that's how. Go ahead.
Those are the symbols he's talking about, though, right?
Yeah, those are the symbols. Those are the alchemical
And
symbols.
the way the hands are joined and all that.
Yeah, to me, the most powerful alchemical symbol that I saw, though, was the one where it shows the vase that's very narrow at the top and it's wide at the bottom, and in it are 3 dragons, and around it is civilization. Okay, the symbols of civilization, people going to the market and doing various things, but in that vase are the dragons of our shadow, our instincts. Those are our instincts that keep us going, but we've now bottled them and controlled them. Well, we haven't controlled them, but
They're managed.
well,
Silos is what they do.
Oh gosh.
they're sitting in missile silos and
Ready to
they're
go.
sitting in guys who are looking at people that are not their wives. Okay, I mean,
And dirty statues.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, think of Vice President Pence. You know, he's sitting there and he's got one of those dragons in a bottle in his Psyche. And
that's interesting.
boy, if he ever goes out with ever has dinner with another woman and his wife isn't there, good Lord, you know, Katie barred the door.
Katie barred the door.
Okay.